We are live. What's up, everyone? It is Game of the Year Madness Round 2. We have our, make sure we have that up. Yep, we have our new bracket updated fully. And I am joined today by Sean RGT85 to go over some of the results here and set up what's going to be the next round of voting that'll take place over the next, what's that, like 8 weeks or so, 9 weeks. And then we'll come back together, which will be like third week of December or so to go over like the final four or so. So let me pass it over here though to Sean RGT85. Thank you for joining
Hello.
today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
It's good to have Sean here. This is not gonna be like a long stream. Like I mentioned before, probably like 20-30 minutes or so. And I figured if we just use StreamYard and go live with the bracket here, it'd be a lot easier just kind of throw it all together. But good to see some of the people in the chat there. Varang, of course, coming through. See Devil Cookie in there. Shout out to everyone coming through on a random Sunday afternoon when things like football and stuff are on.
See, Garrett remembered the Dwight thing. I tried to do the Dwight thing again, but my mic on my Chromebook, I don't know, it wasn't working with my headset, so I had to come downstairs.
Yes, yeah, he tried hard to get that Dwight image in there. So, but looking at the bracket, I think the next round when we come together, we'll plan that a bit better because I feel like there's gonna be some big matchups for that one to really get into. But as people are coming in here, I do want to give a shout out Spawncast Network. Thanks everyone for joining up there, supporting. You can see at spawncastnetwork.com down at the bottom of the Game of the Year bracket. I've been kind of updating and putting some stuff up on there as we've gone along too. So excited to see how this goes down. I was hoping Nate would be here, but I think he's a little busy or preoccupied this afternoon because his pick, I think, is going to continue rolling, and it is basically his meme pick. But I think there's a lot of push behind it. And there is one other thing I wanted to point out as we go through here for Sean, who might be a little surprised by one of the results. But the first one up is F099 versus Hi-Fi Rush.
F-Zero will clear.
I think F-Zero is...
It's going to be like 70-30 F-Zero.
F-Zero, I think, does have the meme vote behind it right now, though. People think it's funny that F099, basically the Super Nintendo game is pushing through. Starfield was probably the big victory for it. Cassette Beast just had a tough draw there, but Hi-Fi Rush, people seem to like Hi-Fi Rush quite a bit. It's kind of that I don't say indie darling, but it's definitely the underdog, I would say, when people think of Microsoft. Starfield got a lot of push for the Game of the Year stuff.
We're not talking about people. We're talking about your audience, and your audience is going to choose F099.
Okay. F099 going to clear. I will have some stuff to say about the F-Zero community in the next round with where I think this is headed, because I want to see how serious people are about this thing. Yeah. But the next, you can kind of see what I'm getting at. Octopath 2 versus Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom clears. That's going to be 80-20 easy all day.
I could see 80-20. Maybe it creeps up and the Zelda gets like 70%. I don't know. Octopath 2 does have that cult following, that small RPG, the people who like the old days, right? The turn-based stuff, that traditional. Zelda's just overwhelmingly popular. Although, I have noticed, Sean, online, Zelda has the community's I don't want to say turned on Zelda, but maybe not as supportive of it as they were when it first came out. I think some people kind of diving into the story, thinking a bit more about it now. I
think it's more so the fact that I actually said this in a couple of videos, not trying to toot my own horn, but Breath of the Wild had that wow factor because it was so different than every other Zelda game. And while Tears of the Kingdom is Breath of the Wild on steroids, I still don't feel like it had that same wow factor because it was taking, that base game and building upon it. And I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Tears of the Kingdom, but I felt like the impact, that initial impact, wasn't quite as strong. And if you didn't love Breath of the Wild, there's a chance that you didn't love that game.
Right. Yeah, I think that if you're a traditional Zelda person, like who likes the more linear style with the dungeons being set up just right, you're probably still not really into Tears of the Kingdom. So I get that. There is a group of people who are just like, the open world Zelda stuff, not feeling it as much. This is a good one. Liza P versus Pikmin 4. I already know what Sean thinks is going to happen.
It's going to
I
John,
don't know.
put money up on it.
Nah, I don't know if I'm gonna put money on that one. That's such a toss-up. But Liza P is strong right now. I mean, Jedi Survivor and
It's not
Diablo
as
4.
strong as Pikmin 4.
I don't know. I don't know. That's one that wouldn't surprise me if Liza P beat Pikmin 4.
I think you're out of your mind.
Well, do you think it matters much with what's directly next to it? Super
No.
Mario Wonder versus Metroid Prime Remastered. I
Wonder
mean, I think
clears.
whatever. Really, you think so?
Yeah.
The Metroid Prime community again, strong community.
But we know that they are loud and vocal, but they are very
Oh,
small.
that sounds like a call out actually from
It is
RGT
a call out. I will always call out the Metroid community, and I'm a member of it. But you have to be realistic.
Mm.
Super Mario Brothers Wonder outsold Metroid Prime Remastered in a day.
That's true.
So more people have played it.
Well, I mean, in that sense, Pikmin 4 outsold Lies of P pretty easily.
And that's why Pikmin 4 is going to win.
Well, I guess. Yeah, but Metroid Prime, I mean, there's still that hype factor in the back of people's mind for Metroid Prime 4 that's coming up. The problem is, I feel like if this last Direct had a trailer for Metroid Prime 4, I kind of wonder if Prime Remastered would have a little extra juice in this and like might push past it just because Prime is like on people's mind. But Mario Wonder, yeah, that's a tough one to try to get past with how strong that is. Other side of the bracket. This might be a bit more interesting. Okay,
that'll be a closer one. That I think
Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, I think this side of the bracket, well, except for the next one, I think this side of the bracket has the most potential to be like upsets and stuff, just because of the fact that you don't have any Nintendo stuff in it. Like all these games, well, except for Ghost Trick, but that's gonna lose. All of those games are not Nintendo games, so that's what makes it. Switch Realm says it. Nintendo takes that side of the bracket. But this side of the bracket, I think, is going to be a lot more interesting.
How you feel about Dead Space Clear and RoboCop?
I don't like that, man.
RoboCop that bothers you, huh?
I mean, it's a brand new game, bro. Like built, and Dead Space is, it's Dead Space, but I don't know. But
so
I feel like more
in
people...
your mind, then it would be better for Mario Wonder to go over Prime Remastered because of that. Like the remakes kind of, I don't say messing things up a little bit this year, but they're definitely bringing into question some of the nominations and choices. I will say that for Metacritic and stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, Prime Remastered had an easy first round, much like RoboCop had an easy first round. So that's when it'll start to waver.
Yeah, RoboCop is still a very good game for what it is, where we figure the budget was for it, and I wouldn't have minded seeing it go over Dead Space. Dead Space is a very good game, though. I did enjoy my time with that one. But you're right, it is a remake. I mean, it's like a 1-to-1 remake completely.
Mm-hmm.
It's Final Fantasy 16 though, going over Star Ocean Second Story.
Well, more people probably played Final Fantasy 16. It came out earlier, so you had a chance to buy it over the summer. Whereas Star Ocean just came out when we started this.
But you notice the Final Fantasy 16, it has a lot of discourse online, doesn't it? People who are more traditional, I guess, Final Fantasy fans, quote unquote, don't like the direction of the series now that it's more of an action game. And I do feel like it gets kind of that, I'm going to vote against this title whenever it shows up in different polls. You still haven't played it yet, though. I really want to get your take on Final Fantasy 16 whenever you get around to it, because you played the traditional ones, right? Even like PS1, PS2 days, obviously, but you've played the stuff even from the 16-bit era up to now, and it is a very jarring departure, I think, for more traditionalists with Final Fantasy, while still having the atmosphere and kind of the setting correct. Like, it is the most Final Fantasy game in that regard since like the original one.
I do feel like this is probably out of all these, I honestly feel this one's going to be the closest, because I feel like I can accurately predict all of the other ones, but this one is probably the most of a toss-up for me.
Let me see. I think I have it written down for how close some of these were. So, okay, Dead Space beat RoboCop. It was 68% to 32%, whereas Final Fantasy 16 beat Star Ocean 72% to 28%. That's tough. I feel like Final Fantasy 16 is gonna beat Dead Space by a small margin. I think it'll be
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how
do.
I feel it, but I'm not 100% confident in saying that. But I think it'll clear.
We also had DLC just now for 16, so it is on people's mind all of a sudden again. I mean, the Omega, they put the Cloud's Buster Sword in there. That's you get that right away, and then we have Leviathan next year in the next DLC.
Right.
I'm kind of thinking 16, unless people do just vote for Dead Space as like I'm gonna vote against 16. I saw that in some of the comments where people were like, I haven't played either, but I'm gonna vote against this one.
That's OJ's people.
Well, I think the most I
Big
think the
trash,
game that
big
got the
trash.
most I think the game that got the most of that was Starfield. I feel like I saw it a lot. I didn't play either, but I'm gonna vote against Starfield. that one got a lot of that treatment. Let's see. Ghost Trick versus oh gosh.
Just move on. Just move on.
Well, I want to recognize Ghost Trick for taking down Dave the Diver. I do. It's a game that it is multi-platform, obviously, but you mentioned it started, as a Nintendo game on the DS back in the day.
Mhm.
But it's gone multi-platform. It has that cult following to it. Obviously, Capcom recognized it enough to technically rebuild it in the RE engine. So this isn't using it's not necessarily the exact original. They did kind of rebuild it in the new engine, but it did clear Dave the Diver, which was the big Nexon game, right? That was the big controversy at the Game Awards.
Right.
And it beat it, and it was close. It was 52% to 48%. That was not like a wide margin or anything. So it just beat it. But I can't really give it any chance though against Baldur's Gate 3. Let's be real. Baldur's Gate 3 absolutely crushed Shadow Gambit, which I will say people are starting to learn about games they did not know came out this year. Shadow Gambit was one of them, and I didn't even know about it. But you go through the scores, and it gets all these really high scores and marks, and it's overwhelmingly positive, I believe, on Steam. And it's not really going to have a shot. Ghost Trick against Baldur's Gate 3 after Baldur's Gate 3 won 92% to 8%.
It's a close one.
I mean, Baldur's Gate 3, it just got the Game of the Year win at the Game Awards. It'll get a strong matchup after this one, and then even after that, obviously. But that's when we get down to 8 and then 4, and you start to eliminate a lot of games then. But Baldur's Gate 3 is the juggernaut right now. Going to the next one, though. Okay, so this was interesting. Sean was absolutely positive that the Nintendo games would clear everything. Spider-Man 2 takes out Super Mario RPG.
Well, yeah, John. I mean, Spider-Man 2 is a new game. Super Mario RPG isn't. But I actually have an interesting take on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Because while I've only played Spider-Man and I haven't played Alan Wake, I think personally I would like Alan Wake 2 more than I like Spider-Man. And I like Spider-Man a lot, but some of that stuff just gets lost on me in the game. And I'm in that lull period right now with the game. But I feel like Alan Wake 2 is more of a game that I would enjoy throughout the adventure.
I'm going to tell you with Alan Wake 2, I am playing it. The PlayStation 5 says I'm 8 hours into it or something. And the trophies, it has 60 some odd trophies. And it just keeps throwing them at you, right? But anyway, I'm having a hard time kind of sticking with Alan Wake 2. Yeah,
so it does have that lull. I know, it seems like a very polarizing game because BG hated the game. He was like, "This is I don't like this. This isn't good. I like the first game better." It seems like it's kind of a toss up. I think Spider-Man 2 is the bigger name for the casual.
Yeah.
And if you haven't played either of those games, I could see a lot of people picking Spider-Man 2, but I think this one will be close. I think this will be a bit of a toss-up.
Yeah, I look at Alan Wake 2 as I'm playing it, and it's doing some really interesting stuff with you change the setting, and you have a whole little writing thing that comes up as it's going a typewriter clicking around, and it changes kind of the world around you depending on the events that you're picking. But something about there's a room that you go to, and you have to set up a whole board with pictures, and it kind of breaks up the flow going from that to I think they call it their mind place, and you have Saga and Alan both have one basically, and I don't know, it seems like a lot of steps to get to something that's pretty basic to figure out. It's kind of weird, but
convoluted is what it sounds like.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I see the quality in the game, and I feel like there are some cool moments. I'm not gonna say there aren't, like, especially from like a horror standpoint, where it's kind of that psychological horror. It's not like here's a bunch of gore and like crazy body horror stuff. It's like, let's try to scare you with some really like weird stuff that we're going to program into the game. Kind of like back in the day when Metal Gear Solid 2, we were just talking about Kojima, obviously, like the other day. But that came up as it tells you to turn off your PS2. And it was like, whoa, that's not like a horror thing. That's just like a freaky
PS1
breaking thing, right?
Oh, I guess it did. I guess.
Colonel tells you turn off the PS2 now, right? Yeah. And it's like, what in the what? Oh. So it kind of does that.
61.
It does stuff like that where it's like, oh wow, this is interesting. So I think you would enjoy it, Sean, for that aspect. But I do believe you would get into it and be like, this feels tedious. Tedious might be the word for it.
Okay,
but it's not a long game, is the thing. It's just I sit down, I play it for an hour, and it's a game you need to pay attention. It's like you have to watch what's happening. It's like, okay, it's not like one where you might be able to have something on another screen, a movie, a TV show, a YouTube video, something. It's like, pay attention or you're going to be lost. So, but if I had to pick one to go over, I kind of feel like I'm going to go with Spider-Man for the namesake, but I wouldn't be shocked if Alan Wake 2 beat it. That's going to be a close one, though. You're absolutely right. I could see that being like 53-47. Something like that, like very, very close. But I will say the Spider-Man 2 Super Mario RPG, that got, I think, the most votes. That got 40,000 votes.
What was the split on that? I'm curious.
It was 57% Spider-Man 2, 43% Super Mario RPG.
I was gonna say I felt like it was 60-40, but yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there, because the next one is Armored Core 6 versus Resident Evil 4.
Resident Evil 4 clears.
Armored Core 6 versus Hogwarts Legacy was the closest out of this entire bracket. It was legitimately 51-49.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, and it actually went back and forth for a while, and I had to go in and like look at it was like 33,500 some odd votes or something. I had to go in and look at exactly how many each one got to make sure it was that close. But Armored Core 6 did clear Hogwarts Legacy. I was a little surprised on that one, because I know the Harry Potter IP, Hogwarts Legacy, I know it's very popular, but Armored Core 6, man, FromSoft is on a roll. It beat it, but I think you're right. I think RE4 does get past Armored Core 6.
Yeah, I'm curious. I think it's 60-40 split on it.
Okay, wow, that actually wouldn't be too bad for Armored Core 6. I mean, consider where it comes from. Armored Core never sold like 500,000 copies or something back in the day. It was not a big seller. And now think about it, standing up against RE4 in 2023. That's pretty impressive, I think.
A remake?
But well, I mean, it's RE4, dude. It's a remake, but it is kind of that sense of Capcom did their thing like they did with RE2 and 3, where they like really went in and remade it and changed some stuff up here and there. But what do you think the split was between Blasphemous 2 and RE4?
85-15, something like that.
That's pretty good. Yeah, it was 85-15.
Was it really?
It was 85-15 on 31,000 votes.
That's crazy.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna go through. Let me see. Okay, so we think F-Zero clears Hi-Fi Rush. All right, and then we think Zelda clears Octopath 2. So next one we're gonna predict would be F-Zero versus Zelda. You think Pikmin 4 clears Lies of P, and 100%. You think Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Okay, I remember Lies of P was my wild card, so that's why I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to say Lies of P wins against Pikmin 4, because otherwise it's Nate has the last wild card in the whole thing with F-099.
Well, Nate's taking it with the wild card, pal.
Did you say Dead Space or Final Fantasy for the next round?
I'll have to go with Final Fantasy. I think it barely clears.
Okay, I'm going to stick with Final Fantasy as well. I think that does win. Baldur's Gate 3, we think. So actually, that'd be an interesting matchup. Final Fantasy versus Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate clears that.
Okay, so do you think it's Spider-Man 2 or Alan Wake 2?
I'm going to say Spider-Man.
Okay, I think Spider-Man as well. And then RE4. That could be fun. Spider-Man 2 versus RE4.
I mean, really, it's
interesting.
going to boil down to Tears of the Kingdom versus Baldur's Gate 3. Let's be real.
I have some questions about F-Zero taking on Zelda, which we can address in the next round. Because we're getting our ahead of ourselves, even though we think that's going to be happening. You never know. Somebody could throw a monkey wrench in the plans, and Hi-Fi Rush could surprise. You never know. You never know. It's an interesting matchup though, and the voting will start actually this afternoon. So that's the first matchup, F-Zero99 versus Hi-Fi Rush. So look out for that going up probably within the next hour or so. I'll have that all ready to roll and up on the community board for voting. And I'm trying to think when the next, probably the following week, right? How many matchups do we have here that needs to go through? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 days from now. So it would be next Monday or Tuesday is when it'll wrap. So sometime like middle of next week, we'll do another live stream going through the matchups for the next round, and then we'll roll into that. Basically, we're trying to get this all wrapped by the end of this year. So the last day, maybe in December or so, will probably be like the finals. It'll be the final two, and we'll crown the game of the year winner for the last day of the year. So exciting stuff. I'm gonna have this again. I posted anyone curious, I did post the bracket here that you're seeing up on the community board as an update. I just cut it in half basically because that's what YouTube allows you to do on the community board, where you can see the left side and the right side, so you can just go through them for yourself and you can make your own picks or kind of see where we are as the voting is coming in. But I think that's everything. Did anyone have any questions in the chat before we sign off? Give you guys like a couple minutes here before we finish up.
You had a super chat.
Oh yeah, I think I can go here and do that.
I did the Switch Realm one. You could do Christopher.
This is from Christopher. Says, glad to catch you guys live. Just finished listening yesterday's podcast, and I'm more than ready to keep listening to you guys. Well, thank you, Christopher. I appreciate that.
Yeah, the only people that were mad in yesterday's comments were you for fucking up and saying Green Lantern when he's a DC property, and MVG.
Oh, that's my bad.
MVG saying that Crackdown 3 was the last game when it was Flight Sim.
Oh, that's not too bad.
It's not, I mean, compared to other weeks.
Yeah, could have been worse. Could have been more offensive. Let's see. Okay, I'll you know what? I'll substitute Green Lantern for Ghost Rider. There you go.
Ghost Rider, yeah, he's had a couple games though. PS2.
Yeah. Kind of reminiscent of Blade, actually. Blade had his game in the PS2, and it was like, Ghost Rider,
like
make a return.
But Blade was a bigger character. That was a trilogy. Yeah. Ghost Rider was the one and done.
That's true. Let's see. Metroid Prime Remastered. See, they say Metroid Prime Remastered over RE4. I don't know if you're going to see that matchup. A lot of things have to potentially go wrong for that to happen. Will there be a giveaway? Yes, Farang. We will have a giveaway in the next live stream, actually. So tune in for that. I already have some stuff lined up for it, and I'm just going to probably do. Most likely, we'll just do gift cards because it's easier just to send it immediately, either during the show or after the show. So just for logistics, right now I've noticed, and Sean can probably attest to this because he makes the lady and the mail like deliver a ton of stuff. Mail is so like touch and go right now with how many holiday packages are going all over the place. I'd rather just do gift cards or something where I can send the code and just email it or DM it and just be done with it. So
am I allowed to enter, or how does that work?
Yeah, I guess technically anyone can enter.
Yeah, let's go, boys. I'm clearing with this.
Oh boy. So that's I think that's Ghost Rider had 2 movies.
Did it? I remember the Nicolas Cage one.
I remember that because for some reason the scene I always remember with that is when he just downs a whole pitcher of coffee.
Yeah.
I don't know why I remember that. It's just Nicolas Cage doing Nicolas Cage things. Cool. Okay. I think we're good. Daniel asked, what is your favorite game of the year? My favorite game?
I mean, Tears of the Kingdom clears, but I'll always give love for WWF Legends Challenge 64 because that's still amazing every time I play it. Bro, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm probably still. I think probably for me it would have been Tears of the Kingdom as like the game of the year personally, but I also didn't get into Baldur's Gate 3 at all, and I know those were the two front runners. So, and I'm actually having a harder time getting through Alan Wake 2 than I thought I would. So you can already kind of see where I'm sitting with some of these games. But yeah, I guess Tears of the Kingdom. But well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Just a quick update on this, and will I give Baldur's Gate 3 another chance? I don't know. It's like an 80 to 100 hour game in the first place. I don't know. That's not a trudge through game. Alan Wake 2 is like 12 to 15 hours. You can kind of trudge through that, but we'll see. Maybe someday. But thanks everyone for tuning in. See, Liza P. Hey, shout out to Liza P. Get over Pikmin. Come on, get past it.
Ain't happening, pal.
All right, thanks everyone. We will be back next week to go over the results for this. We'll see you guys then.